Is there a certain key track on this album?
Yeah. I'd have to say the key track on this album is called Wake Up the Sun. And for a number of reasons. One, because we wrote it entirely as a band. And up until this album, we really hadn't done that.
And you were the main songwriter.
Yeah. And but on this album, 5 of the songs we wrote all together. And by all together, I mean nobody even came in with an idea. We would all come up with the ideas together at once. But that song in particular means the most to me lyrically, musically, and I think sort of defines how good we've become as a band, how in lock and in rhythm, and what we're capable of now after being a band for so long.
And what triggered the lyrics to this song?
All of the, I can curse? Or no?
Sorry?
Can I curse on this thing? All of the fucked up shit in the world that had been going on while we were recording the album. Terrorism just started getting really out of control right around that time, right in the middle of writing the lyrics. One of the first beheading thing that of an American that ISIS did was on TV, like right as I was writing lyrics for this. And I've always, questioned the feasibility of different religions and beliefs being able to coexist without being able to actually physically prove the existence of whatever they believe in. The sky is purple. No, the sky is orange. It's very difficult for those two people to exist, to coexist. And yet, what they're after individually is the same thing, a connection with the universe. And so the idea to just, I'm a big fan of everybody I list in that song, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, like whatever, I'm a big fan. But it's time for that, for the factioning off of those different sections and divisions to be over,
Do you believe?
Yeah.
And is there a certain religion that you fit into, or is it?
I mean, there's aspects of a lot of religions that I think are great. I think just about everything Jesus said is great. Just about everything I've read that of the Buddha is great. I can get down with Moses' trip and Abraham's trip, and there's so much. Babaji, I'm a big fan of meditation and breathing and all that. But for me, I don't need a structure within which to experience that. Maybe someone to guide me along the path, like, oh, this is how you do this, and this is how you do this. But to then say, I'm a this now, is very dangerous. I think as soon as you put a name on anything, even a relationship, you start entering a zone that's a bit, can get a bit dangerous. And
did you have an own experience that maybe that you what people are looking for is afterlife or maybe something special?
Sure.
And you are in insomnia, performing, and I mean, but performing and getting a lot of energy from the crowd. I can imagine that you get some sort of lifted.
Of course.
Is it something that you say, well, I actually have experience, and I know that there's more than we can see now?
Of course. And during a show when the energy gets really high, and I allow myself to really go, I know in that moment that we're capable of anything. We could change the world right now if we wanted to. We can do anything we wanted to right now, within the bounds of physical limitations. And and I try and hold on to that memory, those little blips whenever I experience that, the full power of humanity, and I see the audience and they're completely gone and completely within themselves and elevated, and it's a good feeling because,
It's a good feeling, but I can imagine for you it's also then once you're out and the gig is over. No, I mean just on a world scale, you could say, well, why not experience this with many more people.
Yeah, and all the time, walking down the street.
Yeah.
Why after a show do I get, again, then socially anxious, or I'm talking to someone and I'm thinking to myself, you know, like I'm judging them, or I'm judging myself, or and it off stage, it's a constant kind of like, it's very difficult to be a human, you know, because you have these faculties of judgment and peer pressure and anxiety and what can I get out of this, or you know, it's all fucked up. But I think for me the key is off stage, and I'm not very good at it, but to constantly, every time I fall into one of those holes, to remember and come back to a space, and whether that's like just being present, being like, hey, yeah, how you doing? Hey, good. I don't have any irony right now, no sarcasm, nothing with you right now. Yeah. Stay there. And then as I talk, I'll start to get more sarcastic, ironic, pessimistic, and then I'll come back out of it. And I think the key is, the shorter those intervals of falling back in the hole can be, and the wider those intervals of sort of like staying in the moment can be, you know, till it starts to, you know, in a film you have the spaces in between each frame, and if it can get that small where it looks like it's continuous, but actually you're just in a constant state of like reminding yourself, you know.
But that, having said this, that actually you need to perform. Performing is then really important for you to actually to know what to keep you sane. I mean, to know what it's about.
I think so. I mean, I think about quitting all the time, but when I think about quitting, I think, boy, you know, we each have our super. You're a fantastic interviewer, for instance, right? You'll probably edit that out because that's embarrassing, but you're a fantastic interviewer, so that's like a superpower you have, right? And you care. And one of my superpowers is performing. And if I give that up, it's like I think about, I was in a restaurant the other day, and Ray Charles came on, and I thought to myself, why am I doing music? Listen to this guy. Ray Charles he's just the best. Why am I even doing music? He's already done it. The Beatles already did it. Why am I doing it? And then I was thinking, it was really depressing actually. I was like, oh, why am I doing this? And I thought, well, when you play live, I'm talking to myself, when you play live, you have something that actually is unique. So when I think about quitting a lot of the time, I think about that, and that I probably would be shortchanging myself if I quit.
Last two questions. Why do you want to quit?
Because, you know, that's a really good question. It's painful to be in the public's eye all the time. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know why it's painful. It's also really great and joyful, but it's a weird kind of pressure. Imagine every night you stand up on a stage and everyone comes up and rips off your clothes and stares at you. And for some reason, after a while, that can be sort of just tiring. I don't know how else to describe it. It takes a lot of courage. That's what it is. It's almost like going on a battlefield or something. It just takes to constantly go down, pull out your courage, and throw it up for everyone. Because that's the only way I care about performing is a performance. Like, of course, I could sit back and just kind of sit on a stool and just sing songs, but for me, that's not interesting. That's not. I just wouldn't do that, unless it was really early in the morning. I just wouldn't do that. I don't find that real. So instead, I do this sort of more high voltage thing, and it's really exhausting.
But I think that's the key to your success. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Why people. Last question. You said about the key track on the previous album that there was one of the songs that there were 5 songs that you wrote together. Can I say that for our next album, that would it be interesting? It's only interesting for you if it's a totally group process.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, it's a means of keeping the band a band.
Oh, okay.
And exploring, to be honest, when I write songs by myself, they're not necessarily going to be songs that force every band member and the whole band as a whole to play together as best as we possibly can. But I think when we write as a group, we can do that kind of thing where we explore the very outer reaches of our capabilities, you know. But when I write a song myself, usually it could be done in any way. I could play it on a piano, it could be on a guitar, it could be a high school band that covers it. But a lot of the songs we wrote together as a band on this album, no high school band would try and cover because it would require, they're not songs in that sense. They're movements, it's like a team sport.
Yeah, so you need to have the whole team together.
The whole team together, all locked in. Yeah.
No, I was thinking because you were saying Edward Sharpe and that persona, and then crossing the name.
Yeah.
I think you needed this statement maybe to feel comfortable for a next album under the name.
The Magnetic Zeros.
And maybe Edward Sharpe or not, or.
Maybe, yeah, either one. Yeah, I mean, you know, the other thing is the name is so fucking long. We get booted off the top list of festivals. Like, you know, Coachella, we were supposed to be just underneath the headliner, and we called up, and we're like, what the fuck happened? And they're like, I'm sorry, I know, it was actually a problem. Okay. I actually was nervous to even book you guys, because I knew you'd get upset, but the name is so big that that in the bigger print, it would take up 3/4 of the thing, and then I'd only have, so there's other reasons to try and make it shorter. So all you bands out there thinking of long names, you know.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
So I think the next album will be under the name then The Magnetic Zeros.
Maybe, you know, if everyone can stand it. It's funny because a lot of people just call us Edward Sharpe.
Yeah.
Some people call us like the Zeros or the Magnetic Zeros, but yeah, it's interesting. We're going through such a shift. I mean, I don't know what our next album will even be. You know, no idea. This last album was such a statement musically for us. I mean, it's not done terribly well, and it certainly didn't play to the bass. It didn't like. It's not like we did another goom 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 goom. Hey, you know, we didn't do like another version of Home or anything. We've never done that actually. After Home, you asked how Home has changed me. One way Home has changed me is I don't want to do Haze and Hose. I don't want to do boy and girl back and forth thing. And I don't want to do Four on the Floor anymore. Because now everybody's fucking doing that. I mean, I can't get anywhere without hearing like an acoustic guitar and Haze and a trumpet thing after a chorus. It's crazy, you know? And it's cool. I really think it's actually better music. Generally speaking, we have better music now than we did 10 years ago. I actually really think that. So that's great. But for me, I'm one of those sad hipster people that like I can't, I get very embarrassed and self-conscious about doing stuff that is already popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see, when will you be releasing your second solo album?
Pretty soon. It's almost done, so I maybe start releasing songs probably start releasing songs this year, but I don't know, maybe before the end of the year. I don't know. Yeah.
And then a new album with...
I should warn you, there's a lot of rapping.
Rapping?
Yeah. You know, I don't know if I told you, but when I grew up, all I cared about was rapping.
That's true, yeah.
And finally, I feel comfortable enough that I'm just like, fuck it. So all I've been doing is doing a lot of rapping.
So what's your rap name then?
You know, I learned my lesson. Alex Ebert. Alex Ebert.
Okay, well, looking forward to it. But is it actually rapping with beats, or is it rapping with acoustic guitar, electric?
Mostly with synthetic materials. So like, yeah, with beats and keyboards and, you know, synths and some acoustics and some electric guitars and stuff, but mostly as sort of atmospheric stuff. Yeah.
So I think for you now actually to start rapping and releasing it under your own name, what does it tell you about
Well, it's first of all, everyone criticizes me for changing. Oh, he was in I'm a Robot, and now he's this, and now he's that. And this is really my way of just being like, yeah, and now I'm rapping. So go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Now I really don't care. I used to really care about that and be like, but I realized at the end of the day, I'm not Paul Simon, man. I can't sing one way my whole life, It's just not in me. I respect the hell out of that stuff, but that's just not me. And rap was my first love, and I don't know. What was your question, though? I interrupted you.
I mean, you had Edward Sharpe, and now you actually start rapping on your own name. So what does it tell you? Your journey through life that you had. Actually,
and I'm back to myself now. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I guess what it tells me is that I think I found myself through this whole journey. Yeah, that I think that through this whole Edward Sharpe thing, I really did end up sort of getting back to the kind of kid I felt like when I was 8, and that was what the whole thing was meant to do, is to rediscover myself, and I guess you're right, I guess it worked.
And last question, how important is being a father now? Is it or not? I know it's a question that we can go to in a whole new, but is it important for you?
It's a little too profound for words. It's like I'm really living now. It's like, for me, life was so much about myself, and how I could contribute to the world, and it would be like, oh, I could do and it was always upsetting because I didn't quite always know how to help the world. And now there's a very, very clear channel to helping the world, which is this little girl, and helping her and being the best person I can possibly be around her, and teaching her the best of myself that I can possibly teach her, and I think it teaches me a lot, I don't know, it just makes the world very full in a good way.